You can't touch this. You can't touch this.
Okay, my next player, I'm going to step across the state line, and I know you have a player from this ball game too. Rock Hill Northwestern played North Augusta, beat them 49-21, advancing them to the state championship.
Oh, yeah.
And in that ball game, Mason Rudolph, we've mentioned his name here. He's been player of the week several times. And when I got to looking at his stats, I thought, wow, really impressive. 28 of 39, 319 yards, and 6 TDs. So you had another impressive ball game. Man, you're a fantastic quarterback, and I think we made a comment last week about if there was anybody who's going to challenge Greer for who's the best in the area, it would be this kid here.
Well, see, here's my thing, man. You got Will Greer going to Florida. You got Rudolph going to Oklahoma State. Why can't we keep this talent in the Carolinas?
Yeah, why didn't it stay here, I think part of it is a perception that, and this is something we want to do a video on, is what projects players to the next level beyond college. And I think a lot of times you people think that, going to play for, Florida and Oklahoma State, Texas, LSU is going to make you more marketable as an NFL, potentially NFL player. So versus going to an NC State, a North Carolina, a Wake Forest, a Duke, I think that's a wrong perception. But it would have been great if he'd have stayed in state and gone to Clemson or South Carolina, and Greer had gone to NC State or Carolina or someplace. I agree. But he had a great ball game.
Oh yeah.
And who had the great ball game on the other end of the ball?
His favorite target, Dupree Hart, a little 5'6", fast as anything kid, receiver. 9 catches for 124 yards and 4 total touchdowns. He also had a kickoff return. I believe it was 87 yards for a touchdown in the 49-21 win. But the big thing that Dupree did in this game is he broke A.J. Green's state record for career receptions. And on top of that, he's only a junior.
Yeah.
So I'll tell you, that's a heck of a kid. And I've seen him play, the past couple of years, and the kid is speed personified. You think about Steve Smith, and he's that same type of, dude. Real short, but catches anything thrown. Well, in the article it said he dropped a couple passes.
Well, almost anything thrown for him.
He's in that mode of, he's going to get upfield, and if he gets into space, it's lights out. So, that connection, has obviously been real good to each other. And,
exactly.
I expect Dupree to have another great year next year, and some college will be real lucky to get him on their roster.
Oh, yes. Fantastic ball game for both of you guys. Real big win.
And they're going to play Stratford next week for the Big 4A?
The Big 16.
Big 16?
Big 16.
Okay.
So they take the 16 largest schools in the state. And
Gotcha.
yeah, they've there's been talk about doing that in North Carolina. But anyway, I'm going to come back across the border, and I just looking around, and nobody nominated him this week. But I went ahead and said, okay, I'm going to pick a player from Butler, and it's going to have to be Ratliff because the only stats I could find. He had 178 yards passing, 1 TD, and ran for 80 yards and 2 TDs. And the big thing about that was I didn't think there was a lot of question that Butler was going to win that ball game. I really thought they would dominate in it. But, the fact is they knocked off the #1 seed in 4AA. Really, the team they're playing this week should have been the #1 seed, but
they are the #1 seed.
They are the #1, exactly.
That's right.
And things have worked out, so they're going to get to host the regional game.
Exactly.
But Ratliff had a very good ball game against West Forsyth.
Great job. And I saw in the highlights he really controlled that game with his running and decision making in the read option, and in the passing game as well. My next guy is, and this team lost, but I thought this guy had a great individual effort. Sage Surratt, receiver for East Lincoln, 10 catches for 190 yards and 2 touchdowns in their 34-13 loss to Monroe. And, his brother, I believe it's his brother, Surratt, is the quarterback. And, those two obviously have a real special connection going on. And, he gave it his best effort, but Monroe's a heck of a team. And, they're moving on to play Parkwood. And East Lincoln season is over, but I expect, these guys to come back together next year and really be something special for East Lincoln.
Exactly. So from that game,
Yep.
I don't know if you knew it was going to lead into this.
I did not. Good job.
I've got 3 players from Monroe, and the thing that jumped out at me was the first kid on my list, and I don't know if I'm pronouncing his name right. Zephaniah?
I go with Zephaniah.
Zephaniah. There you go. Zephaniah Wall.
And that's probably not even right.
Zephaniah Wall. Phonics, that works. He's a freshman quarterback, and he was 8 of 15, 162 yards and 2 TDs in that big win, that 34-13
Very
win.
impressive.
That's very impressive. That's a big win because East Lincoln was no slouch of the team. But then when you look at that, they held East Lincoln to 13 points.
Those points came late, too.
So I did my thing of, okay, this was a very good defensive ball game, obviously by Monroe.
Right.
And Isaiah Thomas had 8 solo tackles, 2 assisted, 10 total tackles, and 2 tackles for loss in that ball game. Ashad, I had it right the first time.
Yeah.
Ashad Byrd. I'm sorry with these names. He had 7 solo tackles, 4 assisted tackles. That's 11 total, and he also had 2 tackles for loss. So, the defense played a very good ball game from what I was able to read, holding East Lincoln down. I think if you hold East Lincoln down, even 13 points coming late, that's impressive. So.
And Monroe's a very well coached team.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about them more coming forward here. My next guy is P.J. Brooks from Crest. Not real big numbers here, but 84 yards rushing and 2 touchdowns and a 30-14 win over A.C. Reynolds. And I tell you, A.C. Reynolds has been, one of the Cinderellas so far in the playoffs, and to knock them off was not an easy task.
Right. And
Crest has a 3-headed monster at running back, and Brooks was one of the main guys in getting them to the regional final here, state semifinal, I should say.
Exactly.
When they're going to take on Northern Guilford in a huge game.
The next player on my list is not a new one to the list. He's here every week. And he is one of the best players in the state, so this is why, he's on our radar every week. Elijah Hood. But these numbers are a little more impressive than some of his other numbers, I think.
Okay.
He only carried the ball 23 times to get these yards. Usually he's up in the 30 carries to get 372 yards and 6 TDs. Playing a team, Southeast Guilford, that knows the wing T offense.
That's the most impressive thing.
So they know how to defend it. They know what's coming at them. Now, I don't know if Catholic ran wing T or they ran straight T, but 372 yards, 23 carries.
It doesn't matter what you run.
You know what? Those are impressive numbers. Very impressive. Against a team that knew run was coming at them.
Right.
And they're probably, I would assume, to be a fairly decently disciplined team. And still to get ran over like that, it sounds like they were ran over.
Yeah.
Very good ball game. Nothing more I can say.
Great job, Elijah. I'm so glad that you're going to be wearing Tar Heel boots.
I'm not, but
my last guy is, and this was a game that when this score came across, I was shocked. And his name is R.J. George, and he's the quarterback for Shelby. He had 234 yards passing and 2 touchdowns in a 45-21 win over previously undefeated North Rowan. And, Anthony said last week the speed of Shelby, was impressive, and I thought North Rowan could match that. But
right.
looking at the highlights and reading about the game, there wasn't even close, man.
Right.
And George was one of the guys that directed the show offensively, and I tell you, this Shelby team is clicking at the right time, and they're going to play Reidsville, and I don't know much about Reidsville, but they're in for a heck of a challenge, just trying to stop that Shelby offense, because they went through Northwestern like they were just a pedestrian team, and Northwestern is full of talent.
Yeah.
That was a very impressive win to go up there and do it in Spencer. Great job.
Congratulations, and congratulations to everybody that was named this week. We'd like to have more nominations. Please give them to us. Offensive linemen, defensive linemen. Of course, running backs and quarterbacks always get featured.
Oh, yeah.
They're easy for us to find. It's the other guys that aren't. Thank you.
Can't touch this.
My music hits me so hard, makes me say, oh my Lord, thank you for blessing me. What am I to rhyme and to hype me? It feels good when you know you're down. A super dope homeboy from the Oak Town, and I'm known as such, and this is a beat you can't touch. I told you, homeboy,
You can't touch this.